What if you were loved, but not chosen? What if you were part of the story, but not the center of it? Ishmael's life asks a hard question: can you still be blessed when you are not the promised one? Born into tension. Ishmael is Abraham's first son, born through Hagar. His birth comes from human impatience. God had promised Abraham descendants, but Sarah could not conceive. So Abraham and Sarah take matters into their own hands. Ishmael is born into a complicated story. He is Abraham's son. Fully loved. Fully human. But he is not the child through whom the covenant promise will flow. And that tension shapes his life. As a young boy, he grows up in Abraham's camp. He sees the altars. He hears the promises. He belongs. But when Isaac is born years later, everything shifts. The promised child has arrived. And suddenly Ishmael's position changes. Sent away. Genesis tells us that tension rises between Sarah and Hagar again. Sarah insists that Hagar and Ishmael must leave. It is a painful moment. Abraham is distressed. Ishmael is his son. But God reassures Abraham, Isaac will carry the covenant promise, yet Ishmael will also become a great nation. So Hagar and Ishmael are sent into the wilderness. Imagine being a young boy, leaving your father's camp, carrying only bread and water. Rejection. Confusion. Loss. The wilderness becomes his new home. When the water runs out, Hagar places Ishmael under a bush and steps away, unable to watch him die. The situation feels final. But then something powerful happens. God hears the boy crying. Not Abraham. Not Isaac. The boy in the wilderness. The angel of God calls to Hagar from heaven, "Do not be afraid, God has heard the boy crying." God opens her eyes to a well of water. Life is restored. Ishmael survives because God intervenes. Blessed, not forgotten. God makes a promise about Ishmael too. He will become a great nation. His descendants will multiply. He will be strong, independent, resilient. Genesis says, God was with the boy as he grew up. That sentence is everything. Even outside the covenant line. Even away from the main inheritance. God was with him. Ishmael grows in the wilderness. He becomes an archer. A survivor. A father of 12 princes. A patriarch in his own right. He is not erased from the story. He is not discarded. He is blessed. A different kind of legacy. Ishmael's life reminds us that not every blessing looks the same. He does not carry the covenant that leads to Israel. He does not stand in the direct line of the promise. But he still carries dignity. Purpose. A future. God's plan for Isaac does not cancel God's care for Ishmael. That matters. Because many people feel like Ishmael. Not the favorite. Not the chosen one. Not the one at the center. But Ishmael's story says this: God's love is not limited to one lane. You can have a different path and still have divine presence. What Ishmael represents? Ishmael represents those who grow up in complicated circumstances. He represents children shaped by adult decisions. He represents those who feel displaced. He represents resilience. His story is not one of bitterness recorded in Genesis. It is one of survival and blessing. Even when human plans create pain, God still brings purpose. Even when inheritance looks different, identity remains secure in the one who hears. Closing reflection. Ishmael was not the child of promise. But he was still a child of God's care. He was heard in the wilderness. He was seen in rejection. He was blessed in separation. His story tells us something powerful. You do not have to be the center of the spotlight to be under God's watchful eye. You may not carry someone else's calling. You may not walk someone else's path. But God still hears your cry. And sometimes, the wilderness becomes the place where you discover that being chosen by God's love is greater than being chosen by circumstance. Ishmael's life proves this. You can be outside the main storyline, and still deeply, intentionally, undeniably blessed.